cringiest moments on paternity court.
And hold on, I'm talking now. Since all you can do is shrug your shoulders, stay silent. Because you were started off messy, the middle was messy, the end is messy. You all should be ashamed. These babies 4 years old. No, hold on. Because you done got on my nerves now. Because you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man.
The cringiest moments on paternity court. Sometimes awkward situations can lead to some of the most entertaining moments ever. Ms. Mullins thinks her ex-husband, Mr. Lamb, is more of a wolf than a lamb. He's brought in buckets of drama, and boy, are we here for it. So today, get ready to raise your eyebrows, grind your teeth, and pull out your hair. It's about to get wild.
Ms. Mullins, you say your ex-husband, Mr. Lamb, is an oversexed man-child whose debauched sexual fantasies have landed you in paternity conundrum. You say that after doing everything you could to save your marriage, Mr. Lamb has turned that dedication against you by denying your 3-year-old son, Preston, and you intend to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lamb, you say your ex-wife was a serial cheater with an insatiable sexual appetite. You maintain she took advantage of your trust and routinely cheated on you in your own home, and there is no way you are baby Preston's father. Is that correct?
Yes.
You can tell that this one is about to be a barn burner. Ms. Mullins is accusing her ex-husband, Mr. Lamb, of being a sex addict who denied his own son. Oh, and that's barely scratching the surface. Mr. Lamb denied all the accusations against him, and in return, accused Ms. Mullins of being a serial cheater who took advantage of him and cheated in their own home.
Lauren, she told me that she believes it was Jonathan's after the incident we had.
When he popped out, I made you apologize because he looked just like you. Do you not remember that?
No.
So let's talk about this other person in this incident. What's this incident?
So his friend moved in with us. He had a lot going on in his life.
While you were married?
Yes. It was a temporary situation. And Jason had told me that he fantasized about watching me have sex with another guy. And
Mr. Lamb, your husband told you that that was his fantasy?
Yes.
Oh.
And at that point in our marriage, it was crap. I mean, it was complete crap. And so I was like, well, I mean, if this is what I need to do to try and spice things up and try to make things better, then that's what I'm going to do. Because, like, I took my vows seriously.
Things got way too serious way too quickly. Apparently, Mr. Lamb has some interesting kinks. He thought that inviting his friend Jonathan to have some fun with his wife as he watched would spice up their marriage. And considering that they aren't married anymore and are in the middle of a paternal case, it's safe to say that it didn't end very well. Yep, you couldn't make this stuff up if you tried.
So Jason took my phone.
Wait, Mr. Lamb, that's your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
So he took my phone after he had told me about, the fantasy he had. And after, I didn't feel comfortable with it, but I finally agreed. And he took my phone and texted Jonathan and was acting like me and said something about us having a threesome. And Jonathan was like, I'm down. So.
I'm down?
Yeah.
You down, Jerome?
No.
So it was like a week or two later, one of my family members had our oldest child, and that was just the opportunity that we had taken. And we went in the bedroom, and it all started from there. And then about 15, 20 minutes later, me and Jonathan felt really uncomfortable with it. It made me feel sick to my stomach. I was just very uncomfortable. And so we stopped, and he got mad that we stopped. And
mad?
I told him, I was like, I mean, you can just finish yourself off, but I'm done with this. Like, I'm completely done with the
You're gonna take an incomplete in this class.
Yes. So So nobody had finished. Me and Jonathan got up, and we went in the kitchen. We made some food. We waited on Jason to come out of the bedroom, and we just like kind of left it that. Me and Jonathan never talked about it again. He, on the other hand, told the whole world about it.
What?
Yes.
So you admit you had sex with your husband and
Yes.
the friend?
Absolutely. I did. And nobody finished, which is why you're the dad, because when we actually did have sex, he would finish.
Well, there's a lot to unpack here. This is looking less like a paternity court episode and more like an R-rated straight-to-TV movie. Mr. Lamb is a wild, wild guy. Inviting his best friend to have sex with his wife is pretty crazy, but hey, to each their own, right? What happened next, though? Well, there aren't really any excuses for it.
Bedroom floor. Me and him were actually having
Why
sex
did his
one time.
mattress have to be in your bedroom floor?
We had a 2-bedroom apartment. The kids was in a room, and then we put his mattress in our floor.
What about the living room?
This story kept getting crazier by the minute. So apparently, Mr. Lamb's friend Jonathan used to sleep on a mattress in the same bedroom as Mr. Lamb and his wife. Which is made even weirder by the fact that they could have easily dropped a mattress on the living room floor and voila! That's your guest bedroom. Mr. Lamb tried to paint himself as the victim in this love triangle by saying Ms. Mullins insisted on having sex with Jonathan. But if anything, he was probably the one who caused it all.
So did you agree to this?
She said since she didn't get to finish that time that she wanted to try it again and see if it would be any better.
Oh my God, this is just a disgusting case. So the truth is there was more than one time.
Yes,
No.
Your Honor.
Absolutely not. No, and you know that is a...
So the threesome happened inside Miss Mullins' window of conception, but she was absolutely certain that Jonathan wasn't the father. Why? Because Mr. Lamb's threesome fantasy apparently irked her so much that neither she nor Jonathan actually finished. Ms. Mullins sat both Jonathan and Mr. Lamb down to talk about her pregnancy and place the date of conception. And surprise, surprise, guess who the two possible dads are?
You tell the court, how close was the threesome to the window of conception?
Within a week or two.
Okay, that's close.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell Jonathan that he was the father?
I told him the dates, and we all three sat down and calculated it all, and we were all just stumped. But I mean, like I said, me and Jonathan, our argument was that he never finished. It only lasted for 15, 20 minutes. Granted, it only takes one, but he never finished. There's no way. He's the father, and he knows he is.
Based on Ms. Mullins' testimony, we've already established a few things. The two main ones being that this was no ordinary couple, and the second being that Mr. Lamb has some very odd ideas. Either way, we've got to take all sides into account before passing judgment, so it was now Mr. Lamb's turn to give his version of events.
That Ms. Mullins told you you are not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this happen? And can you give me the specifics?
Not off the top, but I do know she has over and over told me that he is the father and that he looks like him.
That he looks like the other guy?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
She's told you this?
Yes, countless times.
I mean, I told him there were similarities. If we get to thinking about it, yes, but there's a lot of similarities between him and Jonathan as well. So that don't mean anything.
Well, that wasn't a very strong argument, was it? So far, Mr. Lamb has been a step behind Ms. Mullen, and his idea to have a threesome turned out to be a complete disaster. The throuple is broken up. Jonathan doesn't think he's little Preston's dad, and neither does Mr. Lamb. It's the most awkward situation you could think of.
Oh, Mr. Lamb, are you still friends with Jonathan?
No, Your Honor.
You're not?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had any conversations with him?
I let him know back then that there's a chance that he was the father or I was, and we really ain't really said much about it, but...
What was his response? He was so gung-ho back then. What was he like when you said you could be the father?
He didn't like hearing it. He was against it. He don't want to be the father of the baby.
So you see how these threesomes work out.
Not good. They get you in some trouble.
So what's your relationship like with Preston, Mr. Lamb? Preston's 3.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, as soon as he was born, you know, I was trying to be happy about it. I was there for all the doctor appointments, everything. And after he came out, and then we were trying to figure out if it was mine or not mine, then she told me it was his. Then I just went with it. Like, I felt like she knew more than I did about it.
So where's Jonathan? Does he have a relationship with Preston?
He does not. He's seen him when he was, a couple of days old. And that's about it. I mean, he held him one time, and then, me and Jonathan still talk occasionally, but nothing like that.
And he doesn't ask about Preston?
No.
Do you know where to find him if Mr. Lamb is not Preston's biological?
The judge has heard enough, so let's recap. Jonathan was an active third wheel a while ago, but now he's nowhere to be found. Mr. Lamb has been the stand-in dad for little Preston, but he's always had his doubts about being the kid's biological father. Everything is a mess, and only one thing can clear it up: the DNA test results.
When it comes to 3-year-old Preston Lamb, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Lamb,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are the father.
Mr. Clark looked like a guy who hadn't slept in days. He was suing his ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bailey, for damages caused by her torching his belongings, alongside a DNA test that would prove he wasn't the father of Ms. Bailey's 2-month-old daughter. Yeah, this one didn't take any time heating up. Ms. Bailey made sure of that.
Clark, you were suing the defendant for a DNA test and for $1,560 for damages you claim she caused to your property because you deny paternity of her 2-month-old daughter, Vanique.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today you will prove you are not Vanique's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bailey, you say you were on fire when Mr. Clark left you for another woman while pregnant with his child.
Yes, I was.
You are 100% certain he is your daughter's
Yes, I
father.
am.
Additionally, you are countersuing Mr. Clark for $300 for half of Vanique's child care expenses over the last 2 months. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Ms. Bailey looked calm and composed. You wouldn't guess she was the same person who had lit Mr. Clark's stuff on fire. She was also countersuing Mr. Clark for $300 in her baby's childcare expenses. Shots were being fired from both sides of the aisle, and someone was definitely going to get knocked down when the dust settled.
Yeah, she burnt all of my clothes up. She came over there one day mad about me and her, my baby, and I told her the baby ain't mine. Acting a fool, Your Honor. Trying to get in the house, argue with my lady.
So wait a minute. She comes over your house with clothes
Yes,
of yours,
yes.
then burns them
Then burns me
at your house?
at my house.
Do you have evidence of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Ron, can you hear me? Mr. Clark's evidence, please. So she comes to your house with the clothes and then burns the clothes at your house.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a list of the items that she came over with?
Yes, ma'am.
Jeans, sneakers, shirts, socks, hats, and this is a picture of the fire she set.
The heat was on. Things were either starting to get interesting or the fire that Ms. Bailey allegedly started was still burning. Either way, Ms. Bailey still needed to give her testimony and confirm if the allegations were true or whether Mr. Clark was lying through his teeth.
Ms. Bailey, did you set that fire to his clothes?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I really did, because I was mad. I was 7 months pregnant at the time. He left me and shacked up with another girl. And
Hold on,
I was
shacked up on you.
emotional. I was
I didn't
mad
shack
at the
up
time.
on
And so I was like, you know what, to relieve all this, I have all his clothes in my closet still. So I was like, I put all his clothes in my car. I went to the gas station, got a water bottle
excuse me.
of gas, and I went to
Yeah.
his house, put the clothes in the front yard, poured the gasoline on them, and I burnt them. And I was relieved.
What are you doing
I was
playing with
relieved.
gasoline and fire when
I
you're
was
7
so
months
mad.
pregnant?
Because I was emotional and he left me. Like,
Now that was interesting. It's not every day you empathize with an arsonist, but hey, there's a first time for everything right. Miss Bailey was mad that Mr. Clark had left her for another girl while she was 7 months pregnant, and she took it out on his clothes. She almost seemed proud of what she had done.
and so I was very
But
sad.
at this point in your relationship, was he denying he was the father?
He didn't start denying her until she was born, and they both came to the hospital, and his
So wait a minute, why were you so
denying her
mad
from the
then if he
jump.
wasn't denying her when you were 7 months pregnant?
Because I was 7 months pregnant, and I was just so mad that he left me. Like, you literally left me at 7 months pregnant. Why didn't you leave me after?
The bottom line is he left you to be with another woman.
Yeah.
And you're
Yana.
7 months pregnant.
Yes.
And you were just so hurt.
Yes,
Your Honor.
that he left me.
She cheated.
Yes, I
So
did.
wait a minute, let me
First
get
off-
one fact at a time. You mad at him because he went to be with somebody else. But he's testifying that you cheated.
The tea was boiling hot. After explaining to the judge why she was so mad at Mr. Clark, something very interesting came up. Mr. Clark blurted out that Miss Bailey had cheated on him, and that was the reason why he left her for his current girlfriend. And with no resistance, Miss Bailey confirmed those allegations to be true. That took a sharp and unexpected turn. So she might have set her relationship on fire before she'd even made a bonfire out of Mr. Clark's clothes.
Cheated because he said he didn't want a girl that parties a lot. And so he left, and I cheated. Yes, I did. But I don't think that's cheating. You left. So I had sex with someone.
One day after my cousin's wedding. Come on now.
Yeah.
Get real.
So you all were together. You
Yeah.
all got into an argument. You said you really didn't want to be with a girl that parties a lot.
Yeah.
So you said it's over.
Yeah, I told her it's over.
So that's cheating. I don't call it
Hold on, the
cheating.
same night I left. I came back the next day. You know what I'm saying?
But by that time, it was too late.
It was too late. Yes, it was.
So after an argument over Miss Bailey's party lifestyle, Mr. Clark literally just walked out on her. But wait, he was only gone for a day. So how in the world did Miss Bailey even manage to cheat in less than 24 hours? Clearly she moves fast. Hell, even speed dating doesn't work that quickly.
And during this relationship, like, he started growing up big, like it was a big tumor on the side of his neck. And so we went to the hospital. He found out he had cancer. From there, he got admitted to the hospital, and he started his chemo sessions and everything. But before then,
And you all were together when this happened.
yes, they said, "Are you guys interested in having children?" And we both like, yeah, you know. And they was like, well, there's an 80% chance that he can't have children during his chemo.
So you know
And-
I can't have kids.
But there's still that.
When cancer has to take a backseat to a paternal case, you know things are fired up. But an interesting tidbit of information was revealed there. According to his doctors, there was an 80% chance that Mr. Clark couldn't have kids during his chemotherapy. And guess what? He was on chemo at the time of conception. But as Ms. Bailey would quickly remind you, what about the 20% chance that he could have kids? Are we really going to disregard that?
I normally come on like at the end of the month, but I didn't.
So you missed your cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
My cousin moved in with us middle or the end of May, and she was pregnant. So I started taking her prenatal pills to enhance the pregnancy. You know, I knew we couldn't have children, but there's still that 20%.
Now, did you all talk about this? Like,
No,
now
no.
that this is happening, I want to try to have a baby, or
No,
you
she
just
didn't.
decide
I
I'm going to
just
get on
decided to-
prenatal?
Tell me
Take
nothing.
prenatal pills.
She didn't tell me she was taking pills until after the baby was.
Once Ms. Bailey realized that she was pregnant, she started taking prenatal pills to enhance the pregnancy. And boy, did they work wonders. The only hiccup was she didn't tell Mr. Clark about the pills she'd been taking until after her baby was born.
I said, now who you been messing with? Because I'm not the daddy. It's an 80% chance, Yana.
But there's 20. There's
Hold
still
on,
that
no. You had your turn. It's my turn. It's an 80% chance, Yana,
There's still that 20%.
where I can't have kids. That other 20% that she's talking about,
They didn't say 100. They said
the other
80.
20% that she's talking about, it's the 20% dude that she was messing with.
So you know she was with someone else?
Yes,
She
but
told me.
he
She
wore
told me.
protection. So there's no.
So-
I'm 100% sure
She
that
said,
he's the father
she
of
said they were protection, but right now, she said, but the condom did slipped off. So come
Really?
on now.
Did you admit that the condom came
Come
off,
on
Miss
now.
Bailey?
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Come on now. You don't have to
He
stop.
had he wore protection, but it did not.
Mr. Clark was starting some fires too. The only thing was, his were right there in the courtroom. So according to him, Miss Bailey had been messing around with someone he knew, which paired with the fact that his chemo did a number on his reproductive capabilities, made him sure he wasn't the father.
Doubtful until like after I had her and his girlfriend was like, I don't think that baby's yours.
You felt like he was happy about it?
He was happy.
He
And
was.
I was too, very emotional because from that point I was like, well, he can't have children. There was 80% chance that he can't.
So
have
you're
children.
thinking this 20% miracle has come to pass?
Yes, Vanique is a miracle baby.
We really wanted to understand medically how this works. And so the court would like to call a witness. Ron, could you please escort Dr. Jackie Walters into the courtroom?
Yes, Your
I'd
Honor.
like to ask her some questions, please.
According to Miss Bailey, Mr. Clark was actually happy when the baby was born. But his new girlfriend changed his mind about the whole situation really fast. Before the said girlfriend could join Mr. Clark on the stand, the judge thought it would be a good idea to have a medical professional confirm or deny all the numbers and speculation around Mr. Clark's chemo sessions and their toll on his childbearing capabilities.
Unfortunately, it only takes one sperm. And so
We say that all the time in this
Yes,
courtroom.
correct.
Thank you.
And medicine is not an absolute science. 80% sounds like a lot. It's still that 20%.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any more eventful, Mr. Clark's current girlfriend took the stand, and all three were throwing testimonies all over the courtroom. More accusations of Miss Bailey cheating were flying all around. But the biggest shock was definitely Miss Bailey's decision to name her daughter after Mr. Clark, despite not being sure if he was the real father or not.
Gonna get the baby my grandma name.
You all agreed to that?
No.
I did. I just said, well, I think she's 100% yours, so I'm gonna give her your last name.
When you
Was sure that the child wasn't his, while Miss Bailey was positive that he was the father. But the DNA results came in, and in a few seconds, months of doubt and resentment would finally be put to rest.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Clark, you are not the father.
You wouldn't tell just by looking at him, but Mr. Mason is actually a really good detective. Or at least he'd like to think that he is. That's why when he got word that his girlfriend, Ms. Malone, was sneaking around behind his back, he immediately questioned being her daughter's real dad. Mr. Mason used every trick in the book to make sure he found out the truth. And boy, did it work.
You say today will determine the future of your relationship with the defendant, Ms. Malone. You say you lost all trust when you set up a watchdog to keep tabs on Ms. Malone and discovered that she had men coming in and out of the house while you were at work. And now you believe 1-year-old Avery is not your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Malone, you admit to cheating on your boyfriend, but are positive he's Avery's father. Today, you are hoping the DNA test will restore your relationship. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr.
Setting up watchdogs, keeping tabs? Mr. Mason is either extremely insecure or he sure has a thing for sleuth films. Ms. Malone, on the other hand, is desperate to prove her boyfriend wrong and get their relationship back on track. But that's easier said than done.
I found out that she was doing a lot of sneaking around when I was in the house.
What kind of
And-
sneaking?
Going through the alleys, meeting people.
In the alley?
In people's cars.
You were walking in alleys, Ms. Malone?
Yes, I was sneaking around, in fact, but there was a break.
You were sneaking around doing what?
seeing other guys. But there was a break because he wasn't showing me any attention.
We wasn't on a break at all. We wasn't on a break.
Were you
For
all
my
committed?
knowledge,
Okay, so Mr. Mason's suspicions were right. Sneaking around in alleys and hopping into random cars is definitely questionable behavior. But perhaps even more surprising was the fact that Ms. Malone admitted to everything without any hesitation. Yikes, this one is off to a fiery start.
Are you living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're off, but you live together.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's been like that.
How's that work?
It's real awkward, but I'm there for the kids, and because I still love Miss Malone, and I was hoping that we could work it out, but.
So that's why today's results are so important, because truthfully, when I say your relationship is on the line, it's more than just a relationship, it's your home. I mean, you all are still living in a home together.
Yes,
Yes.
Your Honor.
The stakes are high! With the couple still living under one roof and taking care of their daughter Amara, the truth could literally make or break this household. With the way things have started, it's easy to tell that theirs is not a happy home.
What happened?
I had a friend watching my front door who lived right across from where we lived at.
Oh, you had a watchdog, right?
Yes, Your Honor, every time I went to work. She blamed it on because me and her wasn't having any intimacy or anything like that.
Do you remember that confrontation, Miss Malone?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what did you respond?
I told him that it was my father that came to the door. And he actually asked my father, and my father said, yes, I came over there that day.
Did your watchdog say that there were any other men, Mr. Mason?
Yes, Your Honor.
Really?
There were multiple.
Did he give descriptions
And-
of all of them?
No, Your Honor,
Yes,
it was
Your
not.
Honor. Yes,
No, it
Your Honor,
wasn't.
he actually did.
No,
Yes,
it wasn't.
Your Honor, he actually did.
When I cheated on Mr. Mason, we was having problems in our relationship. Because the simple fact he was not showing me any attention, he just wasn't being a man that I expected him to be.
Okay, so let me say this. When it comes to the window of conception, that's what's relevant as it relates to the paternity. So when you cheated, when you were out with this other person, was that during the window of conception?
Yes, Your Honor, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you were cheating, did you all use protection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. When you cheated, did you also have an intimate relationship with Mr. Mason during the same window of conception?
Yes, Your Honor, multiple times.
After all the detective work he put into their relationship, Mr. Mason should probably consider a career in law enforcement. Unfortunately, Ms. Malone was a busy bee in the neighborhood. And with her cheating around the date of conception, there was a very good chance that Amara might not be Mr. Mason's daughter.
You also say to him, and you know because I cheated, it could possibly be the other guy's child as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
So she did tell you that, Mr. Mason?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why'd you hesitate?
But I had to find out about the other guy from waking up out of my sleep, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, he did not.
What happened?
I overheard a conversation between her and another individual about she found the other guy on a website and how much Avery and the other guy and the other guy's child looked just alike. When I brought it to her attention, Your Honor,
that is not true.
She said she didn't want me to find out like this, and that I was awake and I overheard everything.
Your Honor, that is not true. However, I told him as soon as I found out I was pregnant with her, he had so much anger, he decides to announce it with a room full of our friends and my...
Now this is one messy situation. Ms. Malone was constantly fooling around with other guys, and Mr. Mason knew about it. Accidentally finding out that he might not be the father to his daughter must have been painful, especially with all the good detective work he had already put in going to waste.
Your Honor, at first it was two guys that popped up at our doorstep saying they were Avery's father.
What?
There was a guy that came to the doorstep
You said
that
two.
I had relations with.
Then you narrowed down to one.
But we actually wore protection, so he was out the question.
At this point, Ms. Malone was clutching at straws. Barely 10 minutes into the hearing, it had already been proven that Ms. Malone had been intimate with several other men during the window of conception. And if that wasn't bad enough, 2 different men had shown up to their doorstep claiming to be Amara's fathers. How much time does Ms. Malone have on her hands to keep up this level of infidelity?
I have to ask you, do you believe Mr. Mason is your granddaughter's biological father?
No, I do not, because they were on a break when she was conceived, and I knew that my child was seeing someone else because they were on a break. To me, she doesn't look like him. And I was in the room when she was born. He did not attempt to come up there. I tried. No, you didn't.
You don't seem like you're a fan of Mr. Mason.
No, no. No, I'm not.
But your daughter maintains and has testified that she truly believes he is.
She loves the man, so of course she wants all her children to be by the same person. I understand that. And for her sake, I hope that she is his. For her sake. But as far as him, no.
Is it because you don't like him, or is it because you just truly don't believe he is?
I know, I truly don't believe that he is. And if he's not, que sera, sera, whatever will be, because I'm gonna be the mama regardless. I'm gonna help her do whatever.
Is it really isn't que sera, sera? Because in the court papers, it says that Ms. Malone is currently pregnant again.
Yeah.
This story has more layers than lasagna. After Ms. Malone's mother gave her testimony, a few more things came to light. First, it was clear that Ma Malone clearly didn't like Mr. Mason. The reason why, who knows? Second, and most importantly, it was revealed that Ms. Malone had yet another bun in the oven. Yes, folks, the serial cheater was pregnant again. She was 6 months pregnant, and yet again, Mr. Mason had no idea if he was the father.
This is a party house.
Were you having sex at the party house?
No, but he did drop me off at that house occasionally. He did drop me.
Was it the party house?
No, it's not a party house. It's a friend of mine's house.
Do people have sex there?
With a case this complex, the only thing that would put a pin in the couple's drama was a double DNA test. Yup, one for Amara and one for the unborn child Miss Malone was carrying. Will Mr. Mason luck out and try to mend his family? Or will it be double tragedy for our uncertified detective?
In the case of Moyet versus Lester, pertaining to 3-month-old Nyla Moyet, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Lester,
Yes.
you are Nyla's father.